Hi, this is Eva with Once Upon a Timeline. Today we have some interesting new Mandela effects, including freezing ice alligators, a change in the book Diary of Anne Frank, and some recent changes to the appearance of the Sphinx. The Sphinx is always changing, but there's some new ones. Okay, so let's get right into it. The first story we have today is this new story I saw on Yahoo News about alligators. Now, you guys might have imagined American alligators to be a tropical creature, but apparently they can now survive in ponds covered with ice. And the way they do this is they stick their nose up through the ice, and then the ice freezes around them, and then they just go into a torpor-like state, similar to hibernation, and they stay that way until the ice freezes. So they're kind of almost in suspended animation there. They don't move, they're just stuck. They put their nose up above the ice so that they can breathe, and then they just stay there until it thaws. Okay, this is pretty bizarre. Here's some images of the snouts sticking up in these frozen ponds. A layer of ice had formed on top of the swamp last Friday and stayed solid throughout the weekend. The ice hardened around the gator snouts with their bodies suspended in the water. There's another image. This is in Shallot River Swamp Park, which I think it was in, where is this located at? Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. And apparently they've got gators sighted all the way to Virginia now. On the bottom of this article, it says, the American alligator can survive water temperatures of negative 40 degrees and can hold their breath for 1 to 24 hours. So it looks like the gators are getting a lot more hardy than they were in my old timeline, and you may find that you're getting some gators in your new town. Okay, so the next story we have today, this one comes from my favorite Mandela Effect group called Retconned. It's about the Diary of Anne Frank. Apparently, the Diary of Anne Frank was never called the Diary of Anne Frank. It was called the Diary of a Young Girl, and is known as the Diary of Anne Frank, but never was that. It was never called that. That's pretty interesting. Most people on our group all remember that it was clearly the Diary of Anne Frank and not the Diary of a Young Girl. A number of people feel that the cover has also changed. It has kind of a red surrounds now and a different image of her than they remember. Okay, so the third story we have for today is the Sphinx. This one has been changing for me regularly for quite some time. I've really been watching it the last couple weeks, and a number of people have already noticed the Sphinx has ears now. Didn't used to. One thing I've been really watching that I haven't heard anybody talk about is this little notch under the right ear. You can see there's kind of a square there. At first when I saw it, it looked like almost like just random saw marks, but it's made itself into kind of a rectangle. There is a slot behind it to the left of it here. It's now looks pretty deliberate. I have not seen anything in the Google search about what that is. You'd think that there'd be 100 different conspiracy theories about what that is. In the recent couple days, I've noticed that a lot of images are showing kind of a punched out area underneath the rectangle that looks a little bit like a circle. So I'm watching that to see how that develops. Also, you see there's a lot more banding going horizontal across the face here. That face used to be a lot better condition. Let's go to this next image now. Oh, that's that same image. Okay. Here's a front view. All right, the last couple of weeks, what I've seen is there's some deep gouges across the front. It looks like crowbar marks or something here. The old story that the nose fell off due to a cannonball is now considered an old wives' tale. And there's rumors and stories about it being crowbarred off. I've also noticed here in the eyes a lot more damage. Those eyes used to be in a lot better condition. A number of people have mentioned to me that they remember the eyes more going up to the outer edges, more kind of Egyptian style. I've noticed also here the lips have changed a lot, and under what would be the left nostril on the Sphinx, there is kind of a blob there. I call it the big booger, because I don't know what that would have been. I mean, it looks like, I don't know, that doesn't look like part of a nose and it's too high to be the lips. So that's pretty weird. Also notice a lot of change to the brickwork here. Recently, there's a lot of plaster under the neck here that looks weird to me. Up here, the whole way that the shroud around his head has changed, and this is just constantly changing. So it pays off to keep an eye on that. A final thing that somebody else sort of hinted at on one video, Mandela affected video kind of hinted at, look at the back of the Sphinx. If you look back here, the Sphinx now has this what looks like a very shiny new looking tail. I assume that they're going to say that that was refurbished and that's why it looks so good, but I don't remember there being any tail. And the last time I looked at this image about 2 weeks ago, this tail was a lot smaller. So it's grown a lot. Also, the back part of the Sphinx here just is a lot more degraded than I remember it. Has all these different brickwork repairs. The brickwork repairs on the Sphinx is changing constantly. It's crazy. And another thing that I do not recall is there's a little brick building thing over here on the right side of the Sphinx. I noticed that about a month ago, and I do not recall those being there originally. I remember the Sphinx being kind of a standalone creature back in the day. So anyway, those are the changes that I've noticed quite recently. This is Eva signing off. Once Upon a Timeline.